Hello, everybody. I am excited today to welcome Isabel Boullon to our interview. Isabel is an educational psychologist originally from Spain. Isabel now resides in the United Kingdom. She has been a leader of sexuality workshops and a support art worker at the Autism Hub in York, UK. Isabel specializes in creating accessible and engaging materials for young people and adults with physical and mental disabilities. Her first book, Sex Was Rude, Now It's Real, explores topics through honest and creative visuals that spark dialogue and foster understanding. Isabel is also the creator of the Personal Eyes Sex Education Program for neurodiversity on the United TI therapy platform. Welcome, Isabel.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you here today. So let's start just talking a little bit about autism and clinical psychology interested you in choosing that for a career.
I did education psychology in Spain, and actually back there I was um, working with a lot of different people, foreigners and rehab centers, all kinds of things, but actually never came across autism per se until I came to England and I started working in a nursery with children as part of the SEN team. And it was there where I met this little boy that had autism, and he was 3 years old. And we got told that kind of like they were giving up on him already, let's say, which is, yeah, exactly. It was shocking. He was 3 years old and he couldn't really speak much. There was just a couple of words and a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of challenging behavior because obviously he couldn't get anybody to understand what he needed.
Mhm.
So I actually volunteered to kind of try to work with him, and it was probably the best year of my life. I was a one-to-one with this little boy for a full year. And it was great to see how his mind worked and how with the right support actually from, as I said, like almost what can we do? Are we giving up? And actually leaving him outside the group settings and the
Mhm.
reading sessions, when everybody reads a little book to the kids, and he was out of all that. He went from that to with having the right support one to one every day to actually making friends, going to birthday parties, communicating beautifully,
Mm.
starting to write his own name, and went to a regular school. But it was,
Wow.
yeah, it was a fantastic experience. So, yeah. And I think he basically made me realize like, so if society and schools and education were about to give up on a 3 year old, which is so early, it's the time when, we need to invest everything we have on them.
Yeah.
And then what happens to these people if they don't get the right support at that age? Or even if they do, what happens after? What happens after school? What happens? Can they go to college? Do they get the right support at college and university? What's next? So it was then when I moved from that job to working with adults, with autistic adults.
I think you bring up a really good point about lack of resources or um, just the availability. I know that there are not very many programs out there embarking on the topic of sexuality and sex ed
Yeah.
for neurodiversity. And what kind of motivated you to create an entire program for sexual education?
The need for it. It was just as simple as that. Like we had one person that was attending the service at the Autism Hub. And then one day I noticed that he had an erection and he started self-harming in front of me. So like, hitting with the fist.
Mm.
Um, Quite hard and quite clearly stressed, like, let's make sure this goes away. Um, so obviously just try to reassure him, and then I call the house and the family and check on, what do you guys do? What's their good response? Why is he doing this? What do you guys know? And obviously it's not their fault. It's just what society does with this topic. But basically, their response before he started self-harming was to kind of step away from him and just say, "Go to your room until you calm down." So that was their response to
Mm.
an erection in a public place or in a place where it was inappropriate. So they didn't do it with a bad intention. They was just kind of like, well, we need to make sure that he has dignity and he's safe, and other people around him are safe too. So just make sure he goes away, and that's it. But what I tried to think and explain to them is like, imagine what he thought. So something
Yeah.
changes in your body. Exactly. Something changes in your
So
body. You don't know
confusing.
exactly. And we need to also include that people with autism sometimes have sensory issues. So what we might think, yeah, something changes in your body, but it's a nice feeling. Is it? Because maybe for him it wasn't really. We don't know. Because actually, against the clothes, sometimes it could be unpleasant. So whether it was nice or not, something is changing in your body. There's a lump. There's something weird. And then on
Hmm.
top of that, I'm already scared. I'm already, you know, confused. And somebody tells me that they've noticed and it's bad because I need to go because they tell me to calm down. So clearly it's bad and I need to get rid of it now. So what do? I self-harm to get rid of it.
Wow.
So until that moment, the only experience I really had was knowing about autism. And during my university degrees and previous years, I had been doing some sexuality workshops in schools just as a let's talk about this, let's make it natural,
Yeah.
uh, let's just
De
simplify
destig
things.
de and destigmatize it, I would think,
That's the
right?
one.
Yeah.
Exactly. So combining those two things, I kind of again volunteer to say I would like to talk to him at least just about what an addiction is and just let it be. It's all right. It's a natural thing. Don't worry about it. But obviously, when I started writing that, I was obviously communicating with the team that was working with me, with my manager, with other educational psychologists. It was clear that it wasn't very safe to explain what an erection is and then explain sexual behaviors without talking about personal space and consent and trust and privacy and so many other concepts that needed
Mm.
to be understood first to say, yes, this is okay. Well, it's okay if.
What content does Personal Eyes include in the program?
So the main initial categories or blocks of content were personal space, anatomy, and just body maps and what parts of the
Important.
body are sexual and what are not. Then obviously sexuality, sexual behaviors, sex, what it means also for like heterosexuality and all the other options available. And then finally, relationships and emotions. So, like dealing with, okay, the rejection, dealing with love, dealing with jealousy, dealing with breakups. Um, so, I was trying to include all those little bits about when you are not safe and when something is not safe for the other person as well, and understanding those limits, boundaries, depending on the relationship, how much you know someone, and these little things that we don't think about that, for an autistic person might not make sense because, yeah, I should have a better relationship with my mum because she's my mum. But actually, I don't see my mum as often as I see the bus driver. Should
Mm.
I talk to
Good
the bus
point.
driver about my sexual life? Because what does trust mean? How do I know who to trust? Because as I said, like maybe that interaction is more regular than with my own mother.
Yeah.
So what do we do that? What do we do there? Sorry.
Who would be a perfect candidate for subscribing to this program?
Any professional working with someone with autism or special needs, and the main thing about the whole program is that it's very flexible. It should be adjusted to the person's needs. So the idea is that at the beginning, when you sign up, you'll go through the assessments and you will do your assessment about personal space, anatomy, sex, relationships, and then you will see what kind of things you want to work on or you want to work on with someone else. But there are three concepts that during the whole process of the learning, the learning process, they are meant to be looked at and they are meant to be repeated, which is privacy, trust, and consent. The idea is to keep everyone safe, like the
Mm.
person that is learning and the person around, like the people around that.
Can you talk a little bit about the connection of your assessment with the rest of the personal eyes sex ed program and how that works?
Yeah, sure. I mean, when you do the assessment, you will be doing it on the platform as well. So as you move along with all the programs and you carry on adding information about the particular person you're working with, then the actual platform will start suggesting other programs that you can do to work on privacy or to work on personal space if they needed more, or have done sexuality, but now they are unsure about their sexual orientation, then the platform will suggest, so how about if you do this? It's just to make sure that there is a bit of guidance as well as, here are all the materials. So obviously you have the materials, you have guidance on each program, but at the same time, it's also useful to have that extra, how about this? Obviously, at the end of the day, it will have to be your own practice and your own work with the person to decide. But it's useful that the platform will be obviously helping you a bit
Mm.
to guide the process.
You speak a little bit about materials, so I can imagine that with certain teens and young adults, when we're talking about this kind of subject matter, it could be really abstract for them,
Mhm.
especially it's
Yes.
maybe you're not sure of their receptive language comprehension levels. Can you
Mm.
talk a little bit about what materials are included to help convey all of these important concepts you're talking about?
Whole idea is that it's all very interactive and very engaging. So it's not really simply let's talk about what privacy is or personal space. It's all basically games, activities, stories that you go through, and then you do a game as well. So the idea is to kind of make it a bit repetitive, but so the concepts stay and repetitive in the sense of what we are talking about, but know how we're talking about it. So there might be a game and a story about the same concept. So let's talk about privacy. There is this story to explain what privacy is. Then there is this game to work around what privacy is. And then there is this little activity so that you can answer questions about privacy. And then in that way, the professional knows, okay, at the beginning, when they did this assessment, they didn't really know much about what privacy was. However, after doing the story, the game, and the activity, I can see that the answers are, tick. They know, so we
Mm,
can move on. So they're all my own illustrations. Like I make sure that every character, every image is very simple. There's no distractions, and they are very alike. So everyone kind of looks the same, but that is on purpose so that we make sure that there's a connection between concepts. So because the program is going to take a very long time. So the first time I ever did it, it lasted like a year to complete. And yeah,
wow,
from
there's that much content.
yeah, there's a lot of contact. You need to adjust it to the person. So it took a very long time. So the idea is that, when you start talking about personal space, you're gonna go to anatomy, you're gonna go to all this sexuality stuff and sexual orientation, sexual behavior, concepts, everything. And then there's relationship and emotions, which it has a lot of information too. So you need to make sure that the person understands that these are all concepts that are connected, that they link to the same program, that you're learning about the same thing. So that was the idea, to make it all similar, engaging, and something to look forward to. So that it's not like, oh my God, I'm going to have to be talking about sexuality. No, the person is actually, oh, let's see what the next game is. Let's see what the next activity is to learn more about my life, about
Mm.
sexuality, about relationship, about, instead of being something taboo, scary. Oh God.
Um, Last question for you. I know you have some very exciting new content
Yes.
that you've been adding. I know that Personal Eyes is a program that's constantly evolving.
Hmm.
as we are um, becoming more enlightened in society, etc., and embracing different concepts and subject matter. Can you talk a little bit about some of the new additions in the
Yes,
program?
because of demand. Then I have been creating new things that included asexuality. So, it's okay also not to be interested in this, and that's fine. And also within being someone asexual, then there's different types of how you feel, and whether you might be asexual, but sometimes I do have sex, or I'm asexual, but I'm interested in a romantic relationships. All those concepts are also in there now.
Mm,
Um, there's also gender identity, transsexuality, non-binary, and then connected to that as well, and the whole the whole lot of it basically, and the whole program is a lot of programs of self-esteem. I think there is like around nearly 100 of about self-esteem and
mm,
understanding your own emotions and being able to link those emotions with your sexuality and with who you are, and with transsexuality and all this. And the reason why is that the approach when I explain transsexuality and gender identity is obviously very open-minded, and just basically explaining the facts like with the rest of the programs, like this is what being heterosexual means, this is what being homosexual means, you know. So that is the same for everything. Every single program and material around this topic is encouraging to work on self-esteem and to find out who you are. These are the facts. This is how you would do it. This is what being a trans means. This is what non-binary means. However, please make sure that you love yourself. You know who you are. You know where that is coming from before you make this a step and before you decide to, you know, like life-changing decisions. So
yeah.
yeah, those are very exciting new materials that are linked
So
together.
wow. So, and such important content and such important messages to convey to individuals. Thank you so much, Isabel. It has been
Yeah.
lovely interviewing you and having such a candid, comfortable conversation because
It was.
this topic needs to be uh, delivered in that way. And it's just so lovely to talk with you so matter of fact about this subject matter. And thank you so much for bringing this program to the world and to the neurodiverse community that really needs it.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great.
If you'd like to learn more about the Personal Eyes Sex Ed program for neurodiversity on the Unitas TI therapy platform, we will add the link below in the description area and in the final screen of this video. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much and have a lovely day.